Do you know true fear? Oh, I'm sorry. I should have put up a warning or something. Warning, this video may contain bub scares. I said this last year, but I'm not really into the horror genre. And while that is still mostly true, I have been exploring the genre a little more lately. But that's not to say I haven't dabbled in it before. I stuck with a certain type of horror game, the RPG Maker horror game. These type of games are still popular even today, though I would definitely say the style has changed quite a lot over the years. My first real introduction to the genre was a game called The Witch's House, and although I can't remember if it was the first game I played of the style, it's certainly the one I remember the most. Cause let me tell you, this game does not mess around. You're just wandering around outside for a moment, walk inside when suddenly... Oh... I think it sets a very nice pace for the game overall, considering the experience is rather short. It doesn't waste any time getting the creepy atmosphere set in and some scares early on. Oh, I don't know about you, but that kind of gave me the The game does really good at doing subtle things as well, like slightly moving objects as you leave a room, or showing you things just in the corner of your eye. I feel like this adds a level of tension because you're never quite sure if something's gonna happen. With the low-key music and the generally creepy atmosphere, it really sets you up to get affected by these sudden sounds. Which is a clever way of using the engine to its fullest, since it's not the most graphically powered thing out there. Then again, even for RPG Maker, some of these deaths are very creative. To convince you to explore the game's many rooms, it presents you with various puzzles you'll need to solve as you go. These puzzles generally act as like a break from the big scares of the game, giving you something else to focus on so they don't lose that edge. Cause really, there's nothing else pushing you forward apart from curiosity. The story is practically non-existent, with the only character that talks to you throughout the entire game being the black cat you save on. Now that's not to say the game doesn't have lore you can follow, but it's not gonna be the driving force, your motivation to continue playing. For me, it's to see how many ridiculous ways I can die. Spoilers, there is a lot. The Witch's House is fast, to the point, and doesn't let up. But that's why I'm glad it's short. It doesn't lose its impact and avoids overwhelming you. It's clear to see why this is one of the most well-known RPG Maker horror games. And why so many people were inspired by it. It was a pioneer of the RPG Maker horror style of that era. Because if you look at more recent games of the genre, you'll notice there's quite a difference. Just recently, I've been playing one called Pocket Mirror, and right off the bat, there's a higher level of quality here, in terms of graphics and overall presentation. But where I noticed the genre has shifted most is mainly with the pacing and the story. The Witch's House can be beaten in 3 hours if you don't know what to do. Like I said, barely any dialogue or really any characters in the game, but Pocket Mirror goes for a more story-driven experience. Long strings of dialogue between characters. That's not to say the game doesn't have any creepy, eerie, or even scary moments though. It's just that it took quite a bit more time to get to the actual spooky bits, whereas the other, hardly a minute passed before... Know what I mean? I imagine a direct comparison isn't that fair nowadays, especially with the different theming and style that this game goes for. So let's talk a bit more about Pocket Mirror. Obviously, this game focuses quite a lot on the story, and if I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't interested. Until about the 1 hour mark, where the game started to make me ask a lot more questions. At the start of the game, you find out you don't know who you are, you don't know where you are, you have a pocket mirror, okay, go. But thankfully, the creepy atmosphere and a nice handful of the scares kept me interested to push on. Then things start to get weird. I feel the slow pace really helps these moments become impactful. A feeling of, I don't know about the horror of this game, wait, what is that? No. And just like that, it stops. The tension disappears and you get a moment of rest. Where puzzle rooms were used initially to give you a break between the scares, this game's downtime is more focused on you interacting with the characters, learning more about their personalities and the area that we're exploring. That's not to say the game doesn't have puzzles, but it's clearly not the focus. It's more about the lore and the general mystery of the whole thing. And although I don't like that more than the puzzle rooms myself, I feel like that will be perfect for someone looking for a more story-driven experience. Or hell, just a good game. I mean, it's really interesting. There are a surprisingly varied amount of locations to visit, from really beautiful, colorfully lit hallways to really dark hallways where I can't see anything. This is probably my biggest complaint about the game. I know one is meant to fear the unknown, but when I can't see anything, the only thing I'm fearing is not being able to see where to go to progress. Pocket Mirror is definitely a good example of what the current RPG Maker horror genre is like. Obviously, with the newer versions of RPG Maker, a lot more is possible. There is some crazy quality to this game, and if you want to take horror at a slightly slower pace, this one is definitely for you. Do note, I am recommending it even though I haven't actually beaten it myself yet. I'm currently doing a playthrough of it on my gaming channel. Oh wow, recommending something you've not beaten yet? Don't worry, I'm a YouTuber, I'll get away with it. So let's go back to the era of the original RPG Maker horrors. This next one blends the two styles together, giving you a nice combination of scares, puzzles, and story. Erber was another game I found early on in the genre. This game starts with the same throw you in the deep end kind of attitude. There is a little bit of an intro where you explore an art gallery, which sets up the tone and the theme of the game from there on. It doesn't take very long for you to get lost and wind up in a twisted version of the gallery. As soon as you enter, the creepy atmosphere kicks in. Though the scares and danger aren't as severe as we've seen, most notably because we can actually take multiple hits. But that doesn't stop the game from trying to spook you. It definitely focuses more on the eerie than it does the startling though. And I can appreciate that because sometimes this game gets pretty weird. Oh, let me out. Oh, it was all a dream. Ah! Stranger danger! Oh no, wait, it's just Gary. Phew! Gary is one of the only other characters you'll have constant interaction with throughout the entire game. Quite early on, you find out you're not the only one who has fallen into this twisted gallery. Gary acts as the sort of guide and big brother of the situation, often giving us advice or just stating the obvious. He is also needed in certain situations as, well, you are playing a small child and sometimes don't have the strength needed. Your reliance on Gary is an interesting tool the game takes advantage of later down the line, and seeing how the story plays out with him is more motivation to push forward in the game. Because let me tell you, the deaths don't really do it. They're kind of bland, honestly. This is another game that benefits highly from sound, but it has the advantage of having a really interesting setting with a lot of color. Being set in an art gallery surprisingly opened up a lot of puzzle elements. When you consider the idea of living artwork affecting the real world, it opens up a lot of possibilities. And Erber uses that incredibly well to create a tense yet exciting atmosphere and telling a very intriguing story with a very satisfying ending, providing you get the good one. Bah! Oh, sorry, did I startle you? You know, none of the previous titles really used jump scares to their fullest. I mean, yeah, The Witch's House had a few barely noticeable ones, but nothing full screen or in your face. But that's not to say that there aren't ones out there that do. Hello? Hello? I'm not going to spend too long talking about this one in particular, but it is a good example of a sort of transitional period of RPG Maker horror. I remember finding this one when I started to branch out more, though the idea of this one's actually quite interesting. And yeah, there are plenty of jump scares in this one. This room that you're in is the only place you visit, but quite often when you interact with things you get an ending of some kind. And every time you get an ending there's a chance the title screen will change, you start again, but the room is slightly different, meaning you need to try new things, interact with new things to try and progress. It can get quite creepy. But it's also very short, just under an hour in fact. I do recommend it, but be ready for things like this. That happens a lot. This one feels like it's more from the era of Mad Father, Misao, and the Crooked Man. Ones like that. Though that is just an assumption on my part, considering I'm not entirely sure. This is just when I found them. I might be talking a load of bollocks, but considering it's my video, I can say what I want. So it's canon now. Yeah. And lastly, we skip forward again to more modern RPG Maker horror games with this. Oh my god, I don't know where to start with this one. Because, like, this game is really good. But it's Mario! It's super happy, super colorful Super Mario, wandering around an abandoned house, often embracing death. To be fair, that might be right up your alley, but for me, it's a bit of a disconnect. Which is a damn shame because the rest of the game is actually pretty good. Now, that may not be a deal breaker for you, and it isn't for me, it's just weird. And I'm sure the creators heard that a lot. I only vaguely remember reading they just wanted the Mario Brothers to be in it, so concerns about that wasn't a big deal to them. I can't find the comment anymore since I think it was on Game Jolt and, well, you know, Nintendo. So with that in mind, let's have a look at Mario the Music Box. This one actually has a lot of the things I liked from the others, but combined. But on the flip side, has a few major downsides. The game manages to be atmospheric and dark without being too dark. The light sphere around Mario shows you just enough, without the problem of not being able to see where you are, like Pocket Mirror. Where this game absolutely 100% excels is its art style. There are some beautifully drawn scenes of Mario, especially for the amount of ways he can die. If the death scenes in Witch's house were your motivator, oh boy, you're gonna have a field day here. There are so many nicely drawn cutscenes and even in-game death animations. And if it's not the death scenes, the story might actually intrigue you enough to keep going. Why was Mario sent here? What's the mystery behind the mansion? Later on, you even run into other people, and I loved being able to find out who they are and why they're here. It's all very interesting, but the whole experience isn't really scary in any way. There is some weird stuff that happens in this game, don't get me wrong, but nothing ever escalates further than that. There's really no jump scares, which can be a good thing for some people, but I really feel like this game could give so much more if it did really subtle things. Use that low light radius to play tricks on your eyes. I feel like that could have given this game that legendary status. Before we're done, I do want to quickly address the things a game doesn't do that well. First of all, combat. There are sections where you have to fight for your life by mashing spacebar. Not only are they a nightmare for your keyboard, they're a nightmare for my patience. The other is death. Oh boy. Later in certain parts of the game, there are choices you get to make where death is inevitable if you choose the wrong option. The only reason this isn't the worst thing ever is because you can save at any point. Not many other RPG Maker horror games give you this luxury, so what would have been a deal breaker just turns into a mild annoyance. Really, if the RPG Maker horror genre suits you, I think Mario the Music Box is definitely worth a look. It's creepy and very unique, and it's clear to see a lot of dedication went into this game. I just personally wish I could be more invested. Had these been original characters as well, you could have easily sold this on like Steam or something, but they did what they wanted, and for what it is, it's really good. And you know I'll be looking out for what they release in the future.
It's me, Mario.
See, I don't know. So, there you go, a selection of games I've played in the horror genre for many years now, but there are still so many out there that I haven't mentioned. Maybe one day I'll come back and play some more. Though actually, this is a good time to bring up someone. If you enjoyed what you saw of RPG Maker horror and RPG Maker games in general, I highly recommend you check out NitroRad. He's covered quite a lot that I've brought up today, as well as a lot of others that I haven't mentioned. He also covers a lot of awesome stuff. I highly recommend it. Either way, guys, thank you for watching this episode of Pixelated Memories. Have you played any of the games that I mentioned today, and if so, what were your favorite parts? Or have I now opened the door to a genre you weren't aware of? I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I hope you had a very awesome Halloween. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Oh, God. Oh. Hey! You still here? Guys, I do want to ask something. Have you noticed anything weird lately? Like, all year I feel like my memory's been getting fuzzier and fuzzier. Have you guys noticed anything strange happening at all? Well, if you do, let me know, because I don't know, man, something doesn't feel right. Keep an eye out. Hey everyone! I hope you enjoyed this Halloween special of Pixelated Memories. I'm actually really happy I was able to get it out in time, what with a recent episode just going out not long ago. As usual, thank you for being patient, and thank you to my Patreon supporters for being so generous. All of you, thank you. And if you want to consider helping the show, link is in the description. If you want more spooky stuff, you can always check out last year's Halloween episode. It was 5 things I found scary that weren't scary. And hey, I actually have a full let's play of some of these RPG Maker horror games on my gaming channel. Throw this video a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more. Take care, and goodbye.